Hi, I'm Gail. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to make tomato soup, but it's not just your ordinary tomato soup. It's a chunky basil tomato soup. So let me tell you the story because it's kind of unusual. Whenever I was growing up, my mom was a good cook, a great cook. But sometimes she would make tomato soup, and the tomato soup was just from a Campbell's soup. But that was okay, but it was not my favorite. I loved the grilled cheese that she made with it. That was why I really liked having tomato soup night. But I did not like tomato soup most of the time. So after growing up, going to college, and all the years of everything, I have not had tomato soup until just a few months ago. And that's been probably over, probably like 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Anyway, it's been a long time ago. So my cousin Courtney and I went out to eat at this restaurant called Gailey's Restaurant, and we ordered the tomato soup. And I thought, I'm not gonna like it because all I had to reference was the Campbell's tomato soup, which is not bad, but it just wasn't for me. So anyway, we ordered that tomato soup, and it was the best tomato soup I think I had ever had. So then my mom kept talking about her friend Suzanne and her going out to this other restaurant called Nearly Famous, and how she and her friend would always order the tomato soup. Got me interested in the tomato soup. So one night I went and got a quart of this soup, and heated it up at home for my husband and me. And it was so good. It was chunks. It was just super wonderful. So my husband liked it and I liked it, and I thought, but it was very expensive. It was like $20 for a quart. And I thought, that's way too much, but I wanted to have that experience for us. So I went online and I found a great recipe. It's from roastedroot.net. It's absolutely amazing. So this is what we're gonna do. I did change it up a little bit, and I'm going to kind of tell you, and I'll write out the recipe. It's going to be on the directions, or on the other tab. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in a little bit of olive oil in a big, huge Dutch pan, and probably 5, maybe 3 tablespoons. And I'm also going to put in about 1.5 tablespoons of butter in that pan. I'm going to put in 1 whole onion that I have already chopped, and I didn't finely chop it. I just chopped it into big chunks. I mean, not big chunks, but just kind of medium chunks. Then we're going to put in 2 stalks of celery that I also chopped, not finely, but just kind of medium. We're going to take this to the stove and saute the onions and celery. Okay, this has been sauteing for about 10 minutes. And so look at all that. See, it's kind of brown on the edges, and it's kind of a little bit translucent. But I forgot to tell you, while you're doing that, we're going to take 2 cans of whole peeled tomatoes, and this is the 28 ounce can. Now I can tell you that whenever you get the cans of tomatoes like this, and it says whole and peeled, you're going to have to go ahead and take some of the peeling off yourself, because I've never found a can that is completely whole and completely peeled. So this is what it looks like. I've already taken 2 cans and I've dumped them in here, and I've chopped up everything except for one. And this is what you might find. On one of them, you'll see this little area that is not peeled. So I just chopped that off. And that's all the peelings that I found. Then I'm going to put this, I'm going to chop it up, and I'm going to half it, and then half it again, lengthwise, and then I'm just going to do it this way. Be careful that you don't cut yourself. My knives are not exactly the sharpest. Now we're going to dump this in here, and this is just in 1 pot. You don't have to have a lot of pots. Now we're going to go ahead and put in 1.5 teaspoons of dried basil leaves. And I'm going to put in about 1/2 teaspoon pepper. We're going to put in about 1/2 teaspoon, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Stir that real good. And here's the secret ingredient, is baking soda. Because the tomatoes are so acidic and you don't want all that acid flavor, you need to kind of neutralize it. This is 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Now, whenever you stir, you're going to notice that it starts bubbling, just like this. That's okay, that's normal. The last thing we're going to put in is vegetable broth. And I'm just going to put in as much as I think it needs, maybe about 1 to 2 cups. But now I'm just going to cover that. And we're going to let it simmer. Now the recipe that I found calls for letting it simmer for 45 minutes. I don't tend to do that because we want to eat before then. So it's all basically done. That's it. That's all there is to it. But I want to make some grilled cheese sandwiches, and so I'm going to go ahead and make the grilled cheese sandwiches, and we're just going to let that come to a boil and simmer until the tomato soup is now boiling. And I'm going to turn it down to simmer. We're going to stir it. And oh, it looks so good. It all has all these chunks in it. Now let's slide over and we're going to make our grilled cheese sandwiches. So I've got a few slabs of butter up there. We're just going to kind of melt that just a little bit and then put our bread on. I imagine you already know how to do this, but I'm just going to go ahead and make 2 sandwiches, but I'm just going to show you one. So I've got the heat on a little bit over medium, about medium, just a little bit higher than medium. Putting my bread down. Now my husband likes pepper jack cheese, so I'm going to put his pepper jack cheese close to one side and on the other side. But you see these spaces over here? I don't like those spaces just with bread. So I've got Monterey Jack on here. Cover all the edges. The grilled cheese has been cooking just a little bit, and I'm going to just flip it over so that one side is on top of the other. Even though the cheese is not melted, and put just a little bit more butter in there. Okay, and this one is done. Okay, now for the other one. Okay, we are ready for our meal. I'm going to cut this in half. Cut this one in half. We're going to get our soup. We're going to top our soup with shredded Parmesan cheese. And we've got a meal. And we have homemade, freshly made tomato soup with chunks of tomato and basil. And we have grilled cheese sandwiches. They have a lot of cheese. And so we are ready for our lunch. So thank you so much for watching.
And if you like this video, subscribe and ring the bell so you'll be notified the next video that comes out.
So here we go. We're going to try our concoction here. It's going to be hot. That's good. Mm-hmm. Super good.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
We're going to enjoy our lunch. You have a blessed day, and thanks again for watching. Bye.
Bye.